Assalamu alaikum class. How are you all? Today the topic which we are going to discuss is forms of verbs. So for that purpose, you have to take out your registers and you have to make flowcharts which I'm going to tell you. Okay. So in this topic, we are going to discuss two main types of verbs. Fine. But for that purpose, you have to have your register and pen and note it down. Take a minute and get ready. Hurry up. Okay, now you have to follow these instructions and listen to him carefully. Okay.
Discussion of forms of verb in our video, we understood verbs change as per tense and they are divided into three main forms which are base form or present. That verbs change as per tense and they are divided into three main forms which are base form or present form, past form and past participle form. If you haven't watched that video or need a revision, I will provide the links in the description. Now, let's look into the examples of it. Verb arrive in present tense becomes arrive in past and arrive in past participle form. Let's look into one more example. Verb drink in present form becomes drank in past form and drunk in past participle form. Now, as you can see, for converting the word arrive to past and past participle form, we used ed. But for converting the word drink, we didn't use any such pattern. So the verb which is following a pattern for conversion from present to past and past to past participle is a regular verb, and a verb which is not following any pattern for conversion from present to past and past to past participle form is irregular verb. Let's redefine them. Based on the formation of past and past participle forms, verbs are divided into two types: regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs are verbs that follow a fixed pattern while conversion from present to past and past participle form. While irregular verbs are verbs that do not follow a fixed pattern while conversion from present to past and past participle forms. Regular verbs are formed by adding ed, d, or ied to verbs base form as per the last character in the verb. As irregular verbs do not follow any such pattern, we cannot form just by adding a specific character, the irregular verbs. Let's now understand how regular verbs are formed. Most regular verbs are formed by adding ed to the base form of the word. Let's take example of verb jump. We add ed at the end of the word to get the past or past participle form. So jump becomes jump in past and past participle form. Let's look into some more example. Call converts to called in past form and past participle form. Look converts to looked in past and past participle form. Now there are some cases where we need to modify some parts of the words when we are adding ed. Let's look into those cases. Regular verbs formed by adding d to the base form of the word. If a verb ends in e, we simply add d to convert it into past and past participle form. For example, like here the word ends with e, so we just add d after e for getting the past and past participle form. So it will become liked for past and past participle form both. Let's look into two more examples. Agree becomes agreed by adding d for getting the past and past participle form. Die becomes died by adding d for getting the past and past participle form. Let's look into one more case. Regular verbs formed by adding ied to the base form of the verb. If the verb ends in a consonant y, we replace it with ied. For example, cry. Here the verb ends with y, so we replace y with ied past and past participle forms. So cry becomes cried in past as well as past participle form. Let's look into some more example. Study becomes studied by replacing y to ied in past as well as past participle form. Marry becomes married by replacing y to ied in past and past participle form. So here we understood how to create regular verbs. Let's now look into irregular verbs. We understood that irregular verbs do not form any fixed pattern. For our understanding, we will divide them into four groups. Group 1. Group 1 will contain verbs whose all three verb forms are same. Group 2 will contain same past and past participle form of verbs. Group 3 will contain same base and past participle form of verbs. And group 4 will contain all three forms of verb which are different. Let's look into examples of irregular verbs of group 1. All three verb forms are same. Examples for base form, past form and past participle form. Put in base form remains put in past and past participle form. Cut in base form remains cut in past and past participle form. Heard in base form remains heard in past and past participle form. Let's look into examples of group 2. Same past and past participle form. Buy in base form becomes bought in past and remains same bought in the past participle form as well. Feel in base form becomes felt in past and remains felt in past participle form as well. Win in base form becomes won in past and remains won in past participle form as well. Let's look into group 3 having same base and past participle form. Come in base form converts to came in past form and in past participle form it again converts to come. Become in base form converts to became in past form and in past participle form it again converts to become. Run in base form converts to ran in past form and in past participle form it again converts to run. So here were the examples of group 3. Let's look into group 4 examples. All three forms are different here. Break in base form becomes broke in past form and broken in past participle form. Go in base form becomes went in past form and gone in past participle form. Swim in base form becomes swam in past form and swum in past participle form. As you can understand from the examples, for irregular verb, there is no specific way to convert from base form to past and past participle form. So you will have to learn them. That's all in this video. Let's quickly revise what we learned in this lesson. Firstly, we understood that there are two types of verbs based on form of verbs. Regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs follow a fixed pattern, while conversion from present to past and past to past participle form, while irregular verbs do not follow any such pattern. Then we understood how irregular verbs are formed. They are formed by adding ed, d or ied based on the last character of the verb. Finally, we looked into four groups of irregular verb. Group 1 having all three verb forms same. Group 2 having same past and past participle form. Group 3 having same base and past participle form. Group 4 having all the verb forms different.
This was the very easiest and the best method by which you can learn different types of the words related to and according to the different division, right? As he told you the four categories, it was the best idea which I wanted to share with you people so you can learn it, okay? This is the easiest and the simplest method. So you have to learn these different types of the words and along with the method, okay? Beside it, you have to practice these forms of the verbs, okay? I hope you understand. Thank you very much for listening me. Allah Hafiz.